Okay, I think we are live, so I'm just gonna check on screen if all that's working. For anybody that's done live streams with me before, you'll know that we generally have problems with audio or video or some sort of an issue. So if somebody could let me know then in comments, if I can actually find the comments on the stream myself. I may have to. I think we've got audio on there by the look of it. That doesn't seem to be a problem. So it's just as whether or not I can actually see any questions that anybody's got. I'm not sure how to see the possible questions. I'll just have a look on my phone a second. This is a bit that always ties me up. I'm not sure if I need to be signed in myself or what goes on with it. Let's have a quick look. So I've got apparently 17 of you watching, so thanks for joining me. And I think I've got the chat up on there, so like I said, if anybody can actually just chat, just so you can hear the sound, see the video okay, then we'll know that we can go ahead. Right, Louise, thank you for doing that for me. Sound is great, even the picture is great. Excellent. Maybe the first time we've actually got it right straight off. I think these are the type of things that you need to keep doing them for them to actually be easy to do, because every time I do it something changes in the settings on my computer. The sound will alter on the microphone. I've got wires everywhere. For you guys it just looks like I'm picking up a pencil and going to draw a chimpanzee. For me, I'm positioning myself in between the wires. I've got a camera right above my head. I got another one to the left. I got a microphone and tablets and on the go, and you name it, it's on there. So it does seem that to do the actual chat you need to sign into YouTube, be a member of YouTube by the seam of it, because I've got an account here that I'm not signed in, and then I've got another one that I am, so I can actually see it working no problem at all now. So if you do have any questions, and yes, hello Susan from Central Ontario. If you want to say where you're from as well, I always find that really interesting. I'm from a small valley in Wales in the UK. It's 5 o'clock here. It's pitch black outside. Around about 1 degree is what we're getting at the moment. So as they say on Game of Thrones, winter is coming. Quebec, Canada, Natalie. So it's good to see. The reason I'm doing these live streams is because I'm going to be offering them a lot more on my Patreon art channel. So for those of you that don't know what my Patreon art channel is, I suppose most of you actually will now. That's where I've got just about 100 full-length pastel videos alone, and I've also got some oil videos, a couple of coloured pencil, mainly black and white, and some other mediums as well that I use on there. But it's mainly these days, because people really want it, it's mainly pastels. But like I said, there are probably 100 hours worth of oils on this, probably 300 plus hours of full-length pastel videos from beginner, complete beginner, all the way up to advanced. So the live streams is something I'm going to be offering on the $18 tier there, tier 3. And the reason I'm doing it is because I can ask, or you guys can ask, and I can answer questions as I'm actually drawing live. So it's a bit more like an art workshop that you could perhaps go to, rather than just watching a video. And I'll be recording it, so it doesn't matter where you are in the world. You'll be able to then, if you're a Patreon member, just go back in there and watch it at any time. And as I said, you can give me your questions ahead of time if you're unable to make it at those times, and it'll always be up there for as long as you're a member, that you can just drop in and keep watching it and watch those, and obviously the library of those will build up, and on that tier 3 you get access to all the tiers below it as well. So this is the first time I'm trying out a webcam at the same time, so I can be a bit more personal and actually look at you. You can see what I'm doing, and when I'm doing things like pan pastels, sometimes on subjects it's difficult to show how I'm mixing the pan pastels and applying them, and for you to see the drawing at the same time. So this small webcam idea, I'll probably be using that to show the palette as I'm mixing things. I'm always trying to make it an even better educational experience for you guys, and now I can see the live chat. It's a bit more interesting for me as well. So there's people from all around the world. Oak Island, we've got British Columbia, Julie's in Scotland, we've got St. Louis, Missouri. So it's great to see that we can all get together. I'm all set up. I've got my pencils to the right hand side of me. This is the reference. I took this in Spain a few weeks ago. I was there with visiting my good friend Louise with my family, and we went to a wildlife park, and they had a big troop of chimpanzees there and some orangutans as well, and I got some really fantastic photos of those. And this, as I said, is one that I took of an elderly gentleman out there, and I really liked the eyes, the way that we had the dark background of his shoulder against the white haze on the chin. You know, it was a good play of dark against lights, and the shininess there of the nose area and the upper lip as well, and that age and knowing in his face, that all makes for a better piece of art, better drawing. So what I'm going to do, I've got my dark grey pastel matte paper. I just trace the image on there, okay, just to speed things up for myself, and I think I'll keep it very simple. I'm probably not going to finish it. I think about an hour is probably the most people really want to watch for as well. So I'm going to do about an hour, and we'll see how far I can get with that, and we'll have a chat and some questions, as I said, along the way. And hopefully I'm recording this as well, so if it turns out pretty good, I can continue with it and probably add it to one of my lessons. So what I think I'll do to start with, I'll just get the reference photo close-ish by there, and use some of my magnets to put it on there. There's another one, and I'll just start with the pencils, and we'll go from there and see how things work and how they pan out. Let me see if I bring that over to the side a bit. That's going to give us a little bit more of the chimp on the side to see. I'm just going to, initially what I'm going to do is take a light pencil and a dark pencil and just give myself always the best chance of things working out okay, and that's all about simplifying it. So what I'm going to do is just put in where the darkest areas are going to be, and I'm going extremely lightly. Weight of the pencil, okay, just the weight of the pencil. And I'm doing this mainly because it means I'm not going to put a dark in an area that should be light and vice versa. Okay, so this is just going to help me with the map, because if I concentrate on the darks and lights at the moment, then when I'm starting to think about colour and other tones in the next stage, I'm not going to have to be so concerned about this, because I know I'm going to be colouring in the right places. Okay, so that's basically why I'm doing this, and it helps to establish my lines a bit better as well. So you can see I've got a darkish area up here, these swirly edge lines across the top. It's going to be really dark across here, so I can put my pencil on the side if I want and just, you know, roughly show myself, okay, that's going to be dark all around there. And then it's going to be dark down here. Now I could have done this underlay with pan pastels if I wanted to. For those that watch my videos, you'll see me use pan pastels frequently. They make short work of the underlayer. Got a bit of the nose. Nose is very unusual compared to a human nose, so you've got to pay attention the way you're going with it. It's very easy to get things in the wrong place when you're doing noses on the great apes. They're really flattened with all these funny shapes along the side as well. So as I said, now I've concentrated on that and put that in. I haven't got to worry about that shape being wrong later on. Obviously I can't see your questions or comments all the times. I'm a one-man show on this one in particular anyway, and what I'll do, I'll just glance across at my phone every now and again just to see if anybody's asking questions, and I'll try and pick up on them. Obviously I've got to do a little bit of concentrating as well. Okay, now might as well put that darkish line in for the lip, because some lovely pinks going on, flesh colours going on in there, so that's going to be a nice play with that colour too. When you're looking at dark against light, that's where the centre of interest goes. So the other thing is, centre of interest always goes to eyes as well, because as humans, that's, you know, how we're made up to look at eyes. They're very important to us. So even if the eyes are in subdued light or in shade, they'll still attract a lot of attention from the viewer of your artwork. Okay, so they may not be the primary source of attention, what I'd call the centre of interest, but they will attract attention on their own. As I said, even if it's in subdued lighting, and this area is light against dark, so the viewer will definitely look at the chin and the whiskers, and they'll definitely look at the eyes, even if the eyes are not making full contact. Okay, we've got D. Lynn Creative Arts. I have a question already. My magnetic board has a few tiny dents. Will this cause a problem when drawing? If they're only small dents, not at all. If you're using pastel matte board, which is what I'm using now, it's really thick. It's probably 4 or 5 millimeters thick. So no matter what the dents, that wouldn't cause a problem on that. If you're using pastel matte paper, that's really thick as well. So I don't see why it would cause a problem. If you're doing coloured pencil and you're putting nothing under the paper, then it's gonna, you know, come through and show up in the artwork. But with pastel matte, it is really so thick that shouldn't really be a problem at all. So that's the way for it to work. If you want to ask questions, feel free, put them in the comments, and I'll get to as many as I possibly can. Okay, Philip, do you leave some pastel unblended in early stages of a drawing, or do you recommend blending? You'll see me blend it in, I will push it in. And the reason we do that is because even with pastel matte is a unusual type of paper compared to any other paper. It's not like anything else. So the thing is with it, it's made up of fibres. Okay, it's a fibrous surface to it. It feels quite velvety, but if you put a good magnifying glass on there, what you'll find is it's lots of tiny hairs, like I say, a fibrous surface, and all those hairs really crisscross around the surface. So that holds the pastel in place. Now, virtually all the other pastel papers are actually true sanded papers. Well, sandpaper, basically. If you feel them, they are sandpaper. And the thing with those is that they don't really hold the pastel. The pastel goes down into them. It's different. It's a completely different way of the surface being. So that's why I push it into the pastel matte paper to allow me to keep doing more layers on top. Okay, so we've got multiple colours going on here. We've got, it's kind of a dirty brown colour. So let's start with this eye, I think. Got to get some underlayer in first. So I'll use my pencil on the side. Out here it goes for a much richer colour. Okay, but down here it's more of that browny grey colour. Got highlight at the top over the eye. So you can see the paper, you can see my pencil lines through this really well. That's how little pastel I'm putting on the surface. That's how small an amount of pastel is going down. Very little at all. Now pastel matte, as I said, it holds that pastel different than any other paper. So some papers have just got a texture on the surface. Papers like Ingres, INGRES. Okay, so that's a popular paper. That's just got like a kind of a waffly texture to the surface. It's not a sanded paper at all. Now what happens then is if you do something like this on Ingres paper, then you can rub this like that, okay, on Ingres paper, and it'll smudge out completely. Here it's hardly moving at all. Okay, so that's those fibres holding on to the surface. If you've got any art friends now that don't know about this live stream, because it's really just a quick stream that I've done on there, let them know that this is live now, and they can come across and watch and ask their questions too. So the nose, the play of the light on the nose, because it's so shiny, is really unusual, a bit of a tricky colour. We got blues in there, purples, browns, flesh colours, very light colours. Okay, D. Lynn, how long did it take you to get comfortable working with pastels? I'm a beginner and not yet relaxed when working. Because I've got 20 years worth of oil painting as my art background, when I got the correct supplies, it didn't take me long at all. Pretty much one drawing. Obviously I'm still learning. I showed a few of my mistakes on my Patreon channel the other day, so I am still learning, and I expect to still be learning forever. You can always improve your techniques and things like that. But yeah, it was because of that oil painting background, it became very intuitive and just made sense pretty much straight away, but only when I got the correct supplies. So basically when I started using pastel matte paper. Before that, I tried it many years ago with Ingres paper, and it absolutely didn't do anything that I wanted it to do. It just wasn't going to work like I wanted it. Some artists use it and they do good work with it, but it wasn't for me. So once I started using the paper that was for me, that did work for me, it all came together, as I said, very intuitively, but only because I have that background in place. And that's why I do my Patreon channel, to share the knowledge that I've got, so everybody can speed up with their learning and they learn from my mistakes. What magnetic board do you all use? It doesn't make any difference at all. It's just a white magnetic board surface, and if you look on any of the popular purchasing sites like Amazon and places, you will see loads and loads of different types, and you can just pick the size you want. More important is the magnets, and you want very strong magnets. So I've got these thick silver magnets. Okay, you can get all different types. You can get them with like a plastic, like a button on top, and I've got these ones too, but they're really strong. Get the strongest possible magnet because they're really super strong. If you put two of them together, you can't hardly get them apart. So that's the important part, the actual magnet. Okay, so this is a paper stump. So if you want to blend with your finger, you can blend with your finger. But if you want to blend a lot, you can get a paper stump to do the job for you, and it'll blend much more fully. And I'm hardly using any pressure. That's just pushing it into the surface, down into the surface. And what it's doing, you see we've got a grainy appearance there. So that's the pastel sitting on the surface of the paper. Okay, so if I then just gently rub this, it will remove a little bit of pastel, of course, but it gets rid of the graininess. So beginners, when you find, oh, I don't like pastel matte paper because of the grain, this grainy texture, you just get rid of it like that. It's not a problem at all. Okay, so now I can start to go a bit darker as I build the layer up. Down here is quite brown down there. I've probably got a darker brown again, have I? Let's have a look. I think that one may be even darker. Yeah. Do I prefer the Stabilo pencils rather than the Pitt because of colours or because of hardness? If you watch any of my videos, you'll see I'll go between and use all of the brands. But my favourites are Pitt, and my actual favourite is the Carbothello. Pitts are a bit harder. Hard one. Pencils is what we really need if you're doing detail like this. Some people like Caran d'Ache. I'm not a fan of that because of the style of drawing I do. Okay, I do real detailed work, so I don't want an extremely soft pencil that's very difficult to sharpen. And they are soft, but they are vibrant, which is good, but they are very difficult to sharpen. You can do it with a blade, but whichever way you sharpen them, they're quite prone to snapping. And because they're the most expensive of all the pencils, that can be quite a expense if you're snapping the pencil all the time. But I have got the full set of Pitt. I have got the full set of Carbothello. I've got a few, probably about 15 Caran d'Ache. I got the full set of Gioconda. They got very vibrant colours. Once again, they're very soft, but good for things like, you know, colourful subjects, butterflies, flowers. That's where they really come into their own then. Okay, so I'm making sure I'm getting the shape right on the eye. I'm gradually building up the darkness, as you can see. Now over the eye it'll be a lot lighter, so let's take a look. So it goes lighter up around here, so I kind of start to get that in place a bit. Okay, Dorothy, what brand pastel pencil is the brightest white you can use? Well, the brightest white is not actually a pastel pencil. If you look at my other videos, I show that. The brightest white of a pastel pencil is probably the Caran d'Ache, but there's not a massive difference in between them. But if you go to and get a Cretacolor white chalk, it's called, they come in packs of 6 normally, and they got white and black, and they are by far the whitest white and blackest black. You can get similar in the new pastel sticks, but the thing is with the Cretacolor, because they are like cylindrical, you can put them in a normal handheld pencil sharpener and sharpen them up quite easily. Okay, if you can see it there, if I show it on this one instead. Okay, so that's it in a holder, so you can sharpen it up just using a normal cheap handheld sharpener. Nothing special at all, you know, just one of these cheap sharpener things. You can use that. So it's much easier, and you can get quite a nice fine point on those, and they are really dark. Okay, much darker than any pencil will go. Okay, you may not pick that up, but it's much darker. So I've got those in my blacks, and I've got those in my whites as well. Okay, when I'm drawing, I normally squint a bit just to make sure that I'm looking at the important parts at this stage, which are the tones rather than details. I don't want to be worrying about details at all at this stage. Okay, so we're going dark enough, I think, so about there. Comes around here dark, brown that up a bit in a second, down here. Like I said, you can go in and blend it with your fingers if you want to keep a bit of texture, you know, a bit of that grainy appearance, which can look good with skin like this. You can do that. Let's have a look at putting some colour in the eye. I think that's not too far off a colour. I can subdue that a bit more in a second, and then it comes around there. Eyes will not look realistic at all until we've got the highlight in there. Down here will be a bit of a similar colour. The other eye is quite a bit darker. Okay, so I can subdue that a bit with a bit of brown on top. Let's try this. That's a bit too light. And I'll adjust the shape in a minute. Do you know where to get the firmer blending stump? I only find the soft ones. Well, to be honest, I think Royal Langnickel, in the UK at least, they do them really cheap in places like The Range and Hobbycraft. So any art store really should have the extremely cheap ones as well. And they basically just compressed paper. That's all they are. If you see them in the packet, you can squeeze those and they won't move. Let's see if I've got one, which I have here. So that's actually Crimson Blake that make. Okay, so that's really cheap. You get that in places like the Works in the UK, just like a bookstore. Okay, so I can push that and it doesn't budge at all. Okay, I can't even make a dent hardly in it with my fingernail. With the soft ones, they're pliable, so I can really push them, and I think they're rice paper, so they are very soft. So if you don't want it to blend away too much, you can use this type. So it pushes it down into the surface but doesn't blend it, you know, a lot, but the softer ones do. So that's where you can get those in the UK, but like I say, in USA and places, I don't know where you're from, should be in pretty much every art store, to be honest. Okay, let's carry on with the eye, because you can see the eye has gone too big, way too big at the moment. So keep an eye on that when you're doing your drawings, because eyes are the things that need to be just the right size. If they're a little bit too big or a little bit too small, it just won't look correct to us. Okay, because we're used to looking into eyes all the time, you know, for our whole life, if we're lucky. And so if the shape is wrong, we instinctively notice it and know it and can tell straight away that it's wrong. So it's important for us to make sure when we're drawing them we get that just right. Good morning, Stephanie from Southern California. When you're putting in your base, do you tend to go a little darker than the photo shows so your top layers show up better? Pretty much all the time. Yeah, that pretty much happens. All I'd say is if you're doing something that's very light, just be careful you don't go too dark on the underlayer, because it can be difficult to impossible to get the lightness back to where you want it. So be careful of that. So if you're doing something that is white, for instance, you know, you don't want anything really dark underneath. Okay, I think that's okay. Comes around at the top. So what I need to do is go quite a bit darker on the brown around here. It's really dark coming up to the top. And then it goes dark here. It's a little bit lighter underneath, but not substantially. So let's get some of this brown down on there. I can adjust the colours quite a lot on the next layers, so I don't have to be too concerned about that. It's dark in there as well. I want to watch I don't lose the shape on this eye as I'm going darker. So now I can start blending more with my fingers rather than a stump, because I don't want it, you know, pushing away to nothing. I want to keep the shape there as well. So that'll come around like that. And then we've got this kind of a wiggly line under the bottom coming up to here. I'll be putting my details on top of this, obviously. And as my arm is starting to ache a little bit, that reminds me that I'm not using my arm rest that I made up a little while ago. So I'm going to get that and I'm going to show you it, because this has made a massive difference in back and shoulder pain. So I think this is the best camera to show you on there. So if I hold that up, hopefully you can see it. bit of a weird shape to it. Okay, now what I've done, I put multiple pieces of cardboard together to make it unbendable, but still softish. Okay, so I can rest my elbow on there, because you don't want to be resting your elbows on something that's extremely solid, because you're going to have problems really quick by doing that. Okay, so what I do, I've got my arms on my chair. I don't know if you can see that down there, but I've got a chair that's adjustable in all different ways, and I can use the arm of the chair and just put it on there, say like that, so I can rest my elbow on there, and that takes the pressure off my back and off my neck as well. And then I push that up against the surface, and I can rest my arms on there, as I said. And that takes the strain off my trapezius, my shoulders, my neck and my arms, and it's made a really, really big difference. Okay, let's start to refine it a bit more, because I know we got limited-ish time on a live stream. I'm going to detail an area more than I probably would at this stage, because I'd normally probably go over to the next eye, because it's quite a small drawing. Rather than you seeing just, you know, one eye with more detail, or no eyes really with detail in them. As I said, I can do a bit of detailing on this left one now in a few seconds. So we've got to go a lot darker on that eye. To make it look better, I think I'll colour it in a bit. So that's subdued there. It's going to subdue the colour that's going on top, because this eye is a bit darker. It's not catching the sunlight as much. It's probably catching a bit more of a bounce light in there. Just put a darker brown on top to subdue it a bit more. Okay. There's pupil gone in. We should go a bit darker here and underneath, and then it scoops up. And then the highlight kind of shoots across and up to that area there, kind of like that. And then we got a bit lighter actually underneath it. Okay. That'll work for the dark. Just trying out a few colours here. Looks about right. Just see if we've got any more questions. Susan, do you think your coloured pencil techniques would be very different on this pastel mat as compared to pastels? I don't use coloured pencils, very rarely, and basically I don't have the patience to spend, but I don't have that much time to spend. As I said, on my Patreon channel I've got about 100 videos now that I built up over the 4 years or so it's been going. Just concentrating a minute. And if I was doing coloured pencils, I wouldn't have anywhere near that number of videos, because I find coloured pencils slow the way I use them. I don't have much experience with them at all, so I'm not the one to ask about that. There's some really fantastic coloured pencil artists out there like Bonnie Snowden, Lisa Lockery does quite a lot with coloured pencils as well. My friends, both my good friends, so I'd suggest checking them out. But without a doubt, you don't use coloured pencils like pastels. I've seen people, you know, they say that coloured pencils on pastel mat you can put light over dark and things like that, and okay, you can, but it's nothing like you do with pastels. Okay, we can really put light over dark. With coloured pencils you can put lightish over dark, but not to the extent you can't get away with what we can get away with pastels. Okay, so that's an advantage we've got. The advantage that coloured pencils have got is that you can sharpen them really finely, which again we can't do. So pluses and minuses for both. D, I'm having trouble with my wrists, lots over the past few drawings too. Okay, if you look on YouTube, my friend Olivier, the posture guru, okay, we've worked together and come up with videos, if you check out my channel as well, where we go into things like wrists and back problems that artists are getting. So on both our channels, the Posture Guru's channel and on my YouTube channel, we both go into things that's happening with wrists, elbows, shoulders, and we've got lots of tips and techniques in there that you should be doing that will help to allow you to draw for a lot longer, have a career drawing for a lot longer. Because if you don't look after yourself, as I wasn't, I didn't know what to do, so I reached out to him, Olivia Gerard, and we did, as I said, that video series together. Okay, so there's plenty of info on there. I think we've come up with the most information on posture for artists than anybody else. Specifically because I needed it. I was in having big pains in my back and my shoulders. So he taught me how I should be sitting. I purchased a completely different seat, and it's improved drastically since then. And since I've put this board in place, that's really another game changer for me. Louise is online. Hi Louise, hope you're doing well. So this is just kind of like a tester video that I'm doing, and just because on that $18 Patreon channel, that's where I'm going to be starting to do these a lot more specifically, so people can come and ask questions and get live answers. So now I'm going to start to put a bit more highlight on, or just start the highlight. I haven't got any highlight going yet. So don't forget, any questions you got, ask in the comments, and I will keep glancing down there as often as possible and see if I can answer as many as I can. To get these colours down here, I need to build different colours up. There's never going to be a pencil that's going to do all of these different colours. So that part comes here. Let me concentrate on this a second. So I've gone a little bit wrong there. This needs to come down a bit more. Like that. And that's there. Okay, that's a bit better. Not the easiest thing in the world. Talking on a video and trying to draw at the same time. And try and make it look half presentable as well. I think I better put a bit of this nose in. I'm going to need some purples. What have we got? Okay, got some greys up there. Let's see how many pencils I can get in my hand at one time going. And some purples. Let's drag them down there. We've got Tarcisio. I bet I pronounced that wrong. Hi, and she's from Sicily. I presume it's a lady's name. I don't know. I've never heard that before. Right, let's just carry on. Okay. So let's try and get some light going on this nose. I've done something similar to this before, but I wanted to, for this live stream, do something that wasn't going to be too stressful for me, because I'm thinking about all the computer stuff going on in the background as well, and the audio and all of that. So it's kind of a very similar pose that I did before as well, but as I said, this one I took when I went out to see Louise in Spain. It wasn't the greatest wildlife park in the world, but the orangutans and the chimps, they had fantastic enclosures, and they were really, you could see they was really interacting well with each other. Using the pencil on the side, because I'm just laying down some colour. I need to warm that up with a bit of a purpley colour. So you see it's layering a colour on top of another colour to try and create a different colour. I think I'll also put a bit of this dark here. Okay, so it goes really dark down here, comes out into the white. Like that, that's really dark line there. I'll just put a bit of that dark there. You can see that'll help me to judge the colour and the tone of the nose area. Let me push that into the surface, so I'll use a harder paper stump because I don't want it blending away to nothing, but let's get rid of that grainy appearance. And just blend it away like that. Lots of different colours going on in this nose area. Okay, D. Lynn asked, my inkjet printer broke and needs to purchase another. What printer do you suggest? Also, what paper for the printer do you recommend for the reference photo? If you look at the last video I just put up on YouTube about 2 hours ago, I talk about paper for the printer in there because it's a bit of an image editing video. and the printer I'm using is the Epson XP 8600. I'll just look over my shoulder and double check that. Yep. Okay, so that's the one I'm using. It's an all-in-one printer scanner, you know, one of those cheapy things, like £100. And I don't do my own prints, so I don't need where's my black on there? I don't need expensive inks or anything like that, but it's a good printer. The reason I picked that one myself is because obviously I sell my tutorial DVDs, discs, okay, downloads, but discs, and there's very few printers that actually print out discs or print directly onto discs. Okay, so that's why I had to get that particular model, but you know, it's really good. The paper I use is called it's the company is Ice. Let me see. There you go. So that's what I use, professional inkjet photo paper, matte 128 GSM A4 size. Okay, so nothing complicated about the paper. It's reasonably priced. It's not a real cheapie, but it's certainly not an expensive one. And I need to get a purpley colour a minute. Yes. It's all about the paper. As I said, if you watch that video that I've just put up on YouTube, then you'll see why paper is critical. Okay, so I'll show you my printer settings as well. So that was good timing on your part to ask that question just as I put that video up. Louise asked why you're not using pan pastels first. I could have done. It's not very big drawing at all. You know, I use pan pastels on lots of my underlayers normally, but I'm just trying to show something a bit different. But yeah, could have done pan pastels first, and it you know, would have grown the underlayer quicker than what I'm doing. But I'm aware that, you know, not everybody has got pan pastels or even wants pan pastels. They may think they're too expensive or can't get them or something, or just want to start off with pastels. I may just want to buy a set of pencils and go from there, so no real reason other than that. For those who are just starting, hang on, let me have a quick think a minute, because remember I said these chimps have got some weird shapes going on in their noses. I need to get that right. I've got a video on, well, a couple of videos on YouTube again, which show the basics you can buy to start with pastels, just which pencils I prefer and things like that. So most of the questions are answered on my YouTube channel over the last few years. Everybody's asked me pretty much everything you can ask. But what lots of people don't know is that you can go onto like my channel and use the search button and just search within my channel, or at least you can on things like mobile desktop devices, you know, like PCs, and so that comes up there. That's the dark line I need to go over the top, and I'll eventually go up to the eye around there like that. And I'll come around, looks a bit strange by there for now, like that, so that'll be all the way up there and then dark up there. That comes around a little bit over there. So I'm just making sure I'm not losing my drawing. Stefania, hi. What a great surprise. I was on your Patreon channel with the Jack Russell tutorial and boom, great idea. Glad to see you here. Nick Murray, if you don't get to them in this stream, can you explain how you would tackle the thin white whiskers? Will you just try and keep a sharp white pencil? Yeah, pretty much. I'll make sure that you see this area here where we've got the real white. I won't go putting any black in there. Okay, so I'll do the black out here, and then I'll put darkish purples in there that I can see, but I won't go too dark in there. If I put just the black in, when I start putting the white, it's just gonna be a smudged mess. Okay, so I'll be careful of that. That's the trouble with live streams. It can the time constraints can be a bit difficult to do as much as I want to do, and that's why my videos on Patreon I can show a lot more, because when I'm doing something that I've already shown the technique for, I can speed that up a bit. Then I don't like it when people do speed videos and everything has gone fast, because you don't really learn a lot then. I sometimes show it on my YouTube channel just to give an overview, you know, kind of like, well, this is the kind of idea of how it works, but they no use other than for things like that, things and that. Okay, what's a bounce like going on around here? Let's blend that back out a bit. I'm not particularly happy with that. See, so you can do that, blend it back out. You still got the lines showing. It goes around there, up. And then we've got tiny little lines in here. Just softening that down. Okay, Jill, if you were sending a pastel portrait in the post, how would you package it so it arrives safely without any smudges? Okay, funnily enough, I've also got a video of that on YouTube that I was looking at today. And if you go to my YouTube channel and just type in pastel storage, that video will come up for you. Or if you just go on YouTube itself in the main search and type in Jason Morgan pastel storage, it'll come up that way as well. And basically you'll see me package it in between glassine paper and firm cardboard or MDF, even depending on how expensive the drawing is. Yeah, if it's a real expensive drawing that I'd done and I absolutely didn't want it damaged, perhaps it's taken me weeks to do, then I'd be putting it in between MDF, a rigid wood board, because even if someone stood on that, it's not going to damage it. Okay, but normally it'd be in between some cardboard, and as I said, you'll see on that video exactly how I do it to give you the best chance of it getting there safely. building up some colours in there. And we need some more warmth, kind of like fleshy colours on you, I think. We've got that playing around as well. Maybe even pinker. Let's have a look at this. It's maybe too pink, but if I go slightly on the side, no, that's okay. I'll deaden it down a bit now, put some purple back on top. People want to know pencil colours frequently, and you can see how often I'm changing and layering on top of each other. So stating pencil colours, when you're doing something, anything above absolute complete beginner level, I don't particularly see how that works. I'm not teaching paint by numbers. So I've got, I know I keep referring to videos I've already got, but that's because I've done YouTube for so long now. But if you look on my YouTube channel, you see me explaining how to pick the pencil colours that you need, so you can actually draw anything you want rather than be limited to trying to copy somebody else's drawings. It's really quite simple, you know, if you follow some techniques. Like here I'm doing more of the just looking at it and going for it, okay, because I can't be testing my colours all the time on a live stream. But I could be doing things like getting some paper, trying the grey, is that close, layering colours on top to see how close I can get. You see, that's how you work out what colours you really need in various places. Okay, down here we've got to go darker, browner, under the nose. So once we've got the basics in, then we're looking at refining it. I can blend that in a second. See, that's more of the look we want. Goes a bit dark down here as well, and kind of a ridge. And then down here it's more of a warmer browny colour, like that. And then it goes up there and around. And I'll darken this a bit on this side. You see how I'm really altering pencils all the time, and I'm not even at any of the kind of detail type of stage whatsoever yet. And the more artwork you do, the more you're going to see the different colours and things in there, different tones. And when you're a beginner, don't punish yourself because you can't see it all, because that's the one thing that comes with experience. You can only, I can teach you the techniques and show you exactly how I do things, but it's only by you doing them yourself that you make the correct connections in your brain. It's just like riding a bike. You wouldn't expect someone to just jump on there and go for it, and first time you're riding and you never fall off. Okay, it's the same with this. When the connections are being made in the brain, then you start to see things. You see the refinement. And a lot of it becomes automatic. You just kind of go on autopilot and it's doing it itself almost. But it's because you put in the work, the practice, and you see improvements, you know, really quickly. The improvements I've seen on people, the members on my Patreon channel, is absolutely astounding. What they're doing after they've been drawing for, you know, not long at all, and they're winning competitions as well. Doing really fantastic work. And I'm just there showing the technique. They then take it and run with it. And that makes us all really proud then in the group when we see what they're actually doing, how they're improving all the time. Okay, so let's make a couple of these lines a bit darker. I think I'll sharpen my pencil a bit. Yeah. Okay, that's coming okay. Let's get a darker grey in there. Right, I can see why that's not working by there. There's my fleshy colour. That's better. We have a warm colour coming around the edge. Lots of soft lines, transitions, rather than a hard change from one to another. Let's get some more of that brown and flesh colour down here as well, I think. Layer a few more of those colours. Carol, have you tried actual sandpaper? Someone was using 1000 grit sandpaper and I actually tried it yesterday. I was surprised how easy it took the pans. Not sure how many layers it'll take. I've tried a few of the sandpapers, the sanded papers, the real sandpapers, you know. To me they all do the same thing. This is how I think about sandpapers personally. There are obviously artists that do fantastic work, but mine is based on layering. And if you think of sandpapers as mountains, the surface, and you've got ridges. I talk about this a lot on my Patreon videos. When you use sandpapers, you've got like little Everest mountain ranges in there. And when you put in pastel on there, let me see if I show you like this. So if you think of the sandpaper, okay, where each of those ridges is a little grit of sand, when you put your pastels on there, it kind of like hits on the surface like that, or it really fills up the area. And I find that the sandpaper grabs the pastel really quickly and fills it up easily, and then when you put layers on top, it really smudges very easily. I've got a video on that as well, where I try Richardson's sandpaper, I think it is, and you see what I do with that, because I'm doing a snow leopard on there, and I give up on it in the end because I just could not get it to work. Doesn't mean people can't do it, because I've seen good work on these things, but they're usually using a more either impressionistic style, or they go in really, really large. They're usually doing one of the two, or both, so they can give the impression of details on there, but it's not in real life that detailed because they're working so big. So not for me particularly. I didn't get on with them at all. I've kept trying to go back and find an alternative for a pastel mat, so that, you know, people that can't easily get it, I've got an alternative. But to be honest with you, there's nothing out there. I've tried, the other day I tried pastel grounds and tried to make that work a bit more easily, but I couldn't get that to work either. Not to the level that I would want. It's kind of okay to use it for test pieces or something, kind of, but I don't think I'd be using it for anything other than that. Let's get some of that orangey colour in here, otherwise the eye is looking really strange. It's making it look like it's the wrong shape. That sounded like a firework going off. We're just correcting that shape. Comes around, goes up in there. And it's quite dark around there, dark there, down, and then dark, really dark by there as well. And then into the corner. Then we've got creases coming out that way, and then down there. So it goes quite dark around there, doesn't it? And then lightish around by there. and there's quite a light colour. It's going to be up by here eventually. Just put an indication of where that's going to sit. That'll help me judge where that edge is going to be by there. A bit like that. So a real dark line under there. This will only come alive again when that highlight goes on. Need to go quite a bit darker on that top though. Dark brown. Dark brown, a bit of black on there. Should sort this out. That's not dark enough. That's my darker brown. Not dark enough for a layer, a bit of black on top of that. And then I'll have a look, see if we've got any more questions. Not that I've got the answers to everything, but everything I know I'll tell you if I know it. And it's yours as well as mine. Let's blend that a bit. Quite hard with the finger because I want to rough that in so I can get more layers around. Okay, I think I'll put some of these lighter areas in. You know, I've put that in. I can see that this needs to go richer and darker because I'm judging it against the other area. Got a light ridge across the top there, then it blends down. kind of the same there as well. And lots of different colours there. Greying it up a bit, cooling it down. It's quite light in there. Oh, let's put some highlight in here. What are we looking at? Something light but not white. It's not looking too bad. Not perfect, but okay for now. Get the pupil in. There, I'll do for now. Anthony, really enjoying this live stream, hoping Father Christmas will bring me some pastels. Well, I saw Father Christmas the other day near where I live, so he's alive and well. COVID didn't get him. The kids are going to be happy with that, I'm sure. Pretty sure he's immortal anyway, so he's probably feeling quite confident. That's that dark, the real dark black Creta colour that I've got. So I'm putting some of that in because that'll help me judge if I need to go lighter or darker on a couple of other areas. But just put it in the darkest parts, so not everywhere. Doesn't need to go everywhere. So this is a dark grey. It's not a black, but it's not far off. Let's try and actually let's try and get this lip area a bit better. Maybe I'll go put some purple on top of that now. Actually, got to blend this in. I want to blend that quite a bit, so let's use my soft stick stump and blend that in. Don't forget, as it's a live stream, keep your questions going. This is what makes it different than my normal videos. You've got that input yourself as well. You can direct this by asking me the questions. And as I said, what I'll do on Patreon, I'll put the questions out there. People can ask them, days in advance. I'm going to cover different subjects, topics, and they can ask things then, and even if they're not available on the time, because lots of people are not going to be, can't get everyone on there. and some would rather fast forward through things anyway, so I think watching something like this might be a nice difference from watching the news. I was certainly guilty of watching too much news, thinking I needed to know everything, and I never used to watch the news until the last 2 years, and now I'm watching too much of it, so I've knocked that on the head. So hopefully things like these live streams will give people a bit of a, you know, creative break. It's one thing staying informed, it's another thing when you're being pulled in different directions by the media deliberately. We don't need to know everything that's happening every second of the day. Okay, so I've got a bit of purple in there as well. But let's darken this down, because if I squint my eyes I can see the general shape of what needs to be done here. It goes down to about there, that's all. About there, no further than that. Right, and up. Lots of fleshy colour in there to go on top. So it should look quite good. And then by here it goes dark, and then it kind of goes dark up there as well. I think I'll put a bit of brown colour in there. Blend that again. Have a little glance at the screen then, see how things are going. Okay, I'm happy with that. Let's get some of that rich pink going in. Thanks Gary Connor for joining us. Tanya Barnes, she says, I haven't watched the news for nearly 2 years. I think you're probably right about doing that actually. Let's get some of this pink going in. Let's see where should it be. By there, over here a bit. I need to lighten all this, but let's just find out where it's going to live. Got a big bit of fleshy colour by there. Comes down to there. These don't need to be in the right place. Different chimp, well, I mean different markings in different parts, but goes around there. This all needs to lighten up as well. Blend that, we'll dirty it up, but that's okay. It's going to go dark down here and then come out. Remember I said I'm not going to put a load of dark where it's not needed, so it'll be like that. It's quite dark under there. It is mainly dark there rather than mainly light. Now blend that all in now. Right there, that's going to help to give me that shape of the jaw. Small circular motions is what I normally do, even though I'm going up, you know, in the fur and hair direction. That. That's coming okay. That's coming okay. Have you ever tried, Melissa, have you ever tried putting down a wash of watercolour and then going in with pastels on top? By the way, I love your work, it's stunning. On lots of my videos you'll see I'll use gouache, or gouache as I think they say in the States. So that's basically watercolour. So yeah, that does work. on pastel mat anyway, because pastel mat is really robust paper. You can, it's surprising what you can really get away with pastel mat that you won't with lots of other papers, especially the board. Board is a lot thicker, a lot thicker. It's more expensive of course, but it's much thicker. Bit of this purple up here, bit of sharp edge there, comes down there, darker there, it should have gone, it's better, up there, bit of that purple in there as well. I think I'll jump back up here a second and try and get this a little bit more realistic. Bit more of this rich, kind of rich brown by here, I think. Down by there. That's what's creating that kind of bounced light that we're seeing playing around here. Just lightening this section here. Okay, I can't crack on a bit. What I'll do, questions I can't get to now, I'll try and type them out later on. Need some more blue, I do. Blue and that purple, I think. smudge it in, making it look a bit softer. It's a bit darker over here. And definitely darker under there as well. I'll match that up on the top. And see, I can leave some of that roughness of the paper if I want. Just take a bit of it off, but see, I can use that kind of like a little bit of gritty appearance to it. Just squinting a bit then to take out the details. Gail says she's missed a lot with our time difference. Doesn't matter though, you can rewind this later on. Once it's finished. You may even be able to do it now, but later on you can definitely rewind it. Beginning. Let's try and keep that flesh going here. Looks a bit like badly applied lipstick, I think, really, doesn't it? So we'll go about there, blend that a bit more. Got a few more hints of this going down here. If you've got any more questions, don't forget, just drop them in those comments. But I think you've got to be a YouTube member to ask the questions, I think. I think I also need to add a bit of brown in here to liven that up. And then I'll a bit of brown up in here. I can see it dotted around in places. Right, so let's get a couple of these darks in. A lot of them are actually dark purple. I'll detail a bit of it now, otherwise I'm going to get too carried away and be quite a way into the time already. I said it was going to be about an hour, but I'll probably be about 2 hours again. Quite a sharp edge there. Subjects like this, you can really go to town on details if you want to, you know, really go for it. Oh, that's my magnet falling off. That's how strong they are. Put them out the way. So these come around here, darker at the base, these little lines. And then we've got some by here as well. This one's quite dark. This goes up in there. Dark, dark down there. Let's just soften them like that then, because they won't look realistic until I start putting highlights in and things anyway. What I actually need is proper grey on there. Let's see. No, it's more of a brown. It is more of a brown. So then if you put a rich brown on there, you can see it's quite a lot of blue, grey, purple. Actually in there. So start hitting some highlights here instead. So I'll make it look a lot more realistic. Yeah, the pressure I do use, you know, on the initial layers I push in a lot with my fingers, but on these layers now it's a tiny amount, it's just a tiny touch if I want to soften something. So if I want to soften that like that, put in a tiny touch. You know, soften it away. And that edge is going to be light, as you can see, quite light up here too. To soften that kind of blends around more. Let's use this a bit more. I've got a lot more refinement to do with this, but it's just putting in these shapes in the basic places. That's what I said earlier on, with subjects like this you can really spend a lot of time if you wanted to, really, you know, perfecting it. But for a live stream it's more about, you know, showing you the techniques. Rather than finishing off a piece. I wanted to try this out, make sure I can, you know, feel comfortable enough doing live streams that the kit is going to work actually, you know, more than anything. Just create, now I've got that pencil in my hand, I might as well just look at a few of the other major highlights. It's not very often that a colour just sits in one area. It does usually, you know, dot around. I find it in lots of places rather than just one section. That should be a bit lighter there as well. Not completely happy with the lips yet, but I could keep working and working on those, playing around with the lights. Ben Lynn, I'm going to buy some of your photo references. The serval is a favourite of mine. The serval is not one I actually took. It's from Wildlife Reference Photos, one of the photos on there. I mentioned that in my video and under the comments as well on the videos. I usually use my own photos or use ones that are free reference photos, but sometimes I've got to use somebody else's photos because I want to teach a specific thing, a lighting effect or a specific animal that I haven't got photos of myself. So sometimes that happens that I've got to use someone else's photos. Not that often, but there's some great photos on there. Okay, where should I go now? Continue with the highlight parts and hit a few more areas. Let's look for a really light greyish pinky colour and use that. It's quite subtly, I think. Just picking out a few of the major highlights. So this is going to be bright down here eventually. I'm not going to do much more because time's getting on. So if you have got questions, now's the time to fire them away in the comments. And while I'm doing this, I'll try to answer a few more. Got through quite a few questions, I think, today. And if you're liking live streams like this, let me know. It's only if you let me know do I know if they're worth doing or not, because if you guys don't want it, I'll think of something else that I can help with teaching in different ways. But I just thought these are a bit different for me. I know lots of people do live streams, but I've concentrated mainly on my art channel and doing the real in-depth videos, you know, usually about 3 hours long, and for the bottom tier probably get a couple of 100 hours worth of lessons on there for $4 a month, so can't get it much cheaper than that. I thought this was a completely different way then of working. Let's create a bit of texture down here. So a light grey and a dark grey. Let's go a bit darker. I think I'll put some brown on that as well in a minute. It should be a bit darker down there as well. Nick Murray, have you considered letting all tiers watch the live streams but only answer questions from the higher tiers for a Discord chat or something? To be honest, for $4 on the lower tier, I think it's incredible value as it is, and that works out at $1 a week. And I think then you've got the $9 one, so you get twice as many videos on there, so another probably 100 hours worth of video on there, so it works out at pretty much just $2 a week. So I think it's excellent value as it is, and I've got to try and make a living, so these things are, I think if I just did that with the questions and answers, people wouldn't want to particularly join the $18 tier. And we got on the $18 tier is also group critiques as well on there. So I'm trying to give lots of variety, so people, if they want something specific, like they want to see, I'll do the odd live stream on here as well on YouTube. But if they want to really get involved with it, then you know it's up to them to join the $18 tier, because I think it's super value for money, and you don't have to be on it all the time. You can go up and down tiers as you want. So that's why I've got tiers, so people can pick whichever one suits their pocket and suits what they actually want to do and achieve as well. The top tier then, $25, you get personal critiques from me on your artwork, but those places are obviously severely limited because I can only do so much with the time of the day. Okay, looking half decent. couple more details going in. The more you do, the more you see, you know, differences, things that I could adjust, things that needed maybe a bit darker or a bit lighter or whatever. How do you stop your work from getting muddy and keep the colours bright? Well, you're seeing exactly how I work on the videos, so you know there's no secrets to what I'm doing. On this one I just use pencils, because sometimes people can use pans and various things and end up putting too much pastel down. That normally happens if you're doing things like soft pastel sticks. Let me just have a little bit of a drink a second. Because with soft pastel sticks you more of a chance then of putting down too much. Basically you put down too much and then you can't layer on top. And the other thing with muddiness is to make sure that you don't put something down too dark under something that needs to be light. So for the beard down here, I'm going to make sure I don't get anything super dark underneath. Because if I did, I wouldn't be able to get the lights on top. And I can smudge in like that because there's barely anything going on the paper. Kind of a creamy colour it is really down here. So the chin comes down like that, but that should be dark down there. Should be dark, 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 not light. So let's get it dark down here, like that. Down here should be dark haze coming in then. And then I smudge it so it's barely, it's pushed right down into the tooth of the paper. So if we remember what I had there, I've just put the pastel down and pushed it into the tooth of the paper. Okay, so I just put it down in there. So I've still got plenty of room left for my highlights to sit on top. If I put the pastel all the way down and fill it up, say I did it with soft pastel and it was too dark, I haven't got any way for the lights to go on top, and it'll sit in here and then it'll be mud. Okay, just like that. So I'll get darkish purpley colour in here, leaving plenty of space in between the strokes. Should be darker down there. And I'll even put a couple of bits even darker down here, I think. So I'm going, not putting it everywhere. Okay. So the light marks will show on top. Get some more of that flesh colour coming down. Darkening that down. Then I can get more of the individual type of haze. See, that's how I do that. That's why I get those haze to sit on the surface. Building up the layer there, so I don't want any of that really darkness showing in between the haze. And down here it goes a bit more warmer, pinkier kind of colour. Up here it's quite bright. And to refine it, I'd start playing around with these colours, you know, putting some blue in places as well. Just check I've got any more. Debbie, how important do you think, well, first of all, Bonnie, just above it, 'cause that's probably going to disappear. What type of lighting do you use for your studio? If you look on YouTube, on my channel, just type in light, then you will see the exact lights that I'm using. Okay, it's something I'd searched for years and only found the last kind of year or two. So that's what I do the lighting. And then Debbie Morris, how important do you feel it is to have the reference the same size? I think, well, you know me, I like to keep things as simple as possible, and the less my brain has got to compute and adjust and alter things in the brain, the better. The more I can concentrate on other things. So if your brain is having to go from, say, an A5 small to an A4 or 3 for your drawing, you can get things wrong quite quickly. And the thing that goes wrong normally is the size of the strokes that you need. So say for instance these hairs by here, if I was drawing this 4 times this size, I wouldn't want them fine like that. They'd need to be thicker. Now if you've got your printout done really large, then you already see the line at the exact thickness it should be. Okay, so that's the main difference for it for me, the main reason that I like it to be, you know, the right size. Personally, I think it's quite a big difference, you know, a big deal having it like that. So yeah, if at all possible, I would suggest print it out at the size it should be. So darker around by there is going to be. Adjust my position on my chair a bit, come around. And I think I better sharpen the pencil a couple of turns. Okay, I don't think I need to do much more to that, so let's look for a few more questions as I'm just touching up a few areas here. This green in this top section would be quite nice when we get that in, because see how that is going to put a punch of colour up in there. A little bit of green as well, I think. Where's my natural greens over there? Let's get that out the way. So I want lightish greens, not a dark green. Let's have a look at the question. What are your thoughts about workroll fixative? If the paper is too full of pastel and you still need to add highlights such as the chin, whiskers. Once again, have a look on the YouTube channel and you'll see I cover fixatives probably more than anybody else has. I've wasted a lot of money on fixatives in my time. None of them are perfect, far from it. There's certainly not one fixative that's perfect out there at all. Absolutely not. I don't care what anybody says. I pretty much bought them all, spent hundreds on them, and they all promise the earth and deliver not as good. But if you check out on, as I said, on my YouTube channel and just type in fixative, you'll see which ones I think are the best, which are usable for things like you said. If you've completely lost the tooth of the paper and it's going to be ruined anyway, then you know, definitely Fixative will be the way to have a go of bringing that back with pastels at least. So I discuss, you know, quite in depth my thoughts on fixatives on the YouTube channel. So either go to the YouTube channel, my channel, and then just type in fixatives in my channel search, or go on the main YouTube search, type in my Jason Morgan name and fixatives, and they'll all come up on there. Okay, so I'm not far off all I'm going to do tonight. Just blend that a bit. I'll probably come back tomorrow and carry on with it and detail it up some more, because there's still a lot more that could be done on this for sure. A lot more. So I've got a few questions. What do you think is the darkest black pencil? Again, I've got a YouTube video on that, but the darkest black is not a pencil. The darkest black is a Cretacolor pastel chalk, and you'll no doubt see loads of people using these on their YouTube videos now and saying about it. I found this out quite a while ago. They come in these packs of 6. Cretacolor pastel chalk, black and white, is superb. Wonderful work. Tanya, you always make it look so easy. It always inspires me to go and do some more. I've been doing it for quite a while now, so it's not easy. I don't find it easy, but I see what you're saying. It can look like I'm making it look a bit easy. But no, it's not easy. Even when you've been doing it as long as I have now, 4 years or so with the pastels. And a lot longer than that with oils, which I'd like to get back to be honest. I'd like to do a few more oils. Obviously I'll continue with the pastels, but I certainly would like to try my hand at some more oils quite soon, I think. So if you're enjoying these type of live streams, you know, let your art friends know, if you've got art friends, about my channel, because it's not particularly popular. I'd like to get a lot more views and viewers on there finding it, but it's not easy trying to market yourself type of thing, and you know, fight against that. It's not easy to do. So I do rely on you guys a lot to spread the word for me if you can. Keeping that soft timber there. Okay, so last few questions. To see if I've found anything. Yeah, Carol says it's great to see this live stream. Voiceovers come across just as that voiceovers. So yeah, I understand what you're saying. That's why I can get input from you guys now when I'm doing stuff like this, but can't do everything like this obviously because it takes so long, and I don't want to be talking for 4 hours at a time without a break. So I've just done 2 hours without a break, and it's not great for you, you know, sitting down that much in one go. So hence the voiceovers will definitely be staying, but I think these will be a good supplement to it if I streamline it a bit more, so I'm not sitting down that much, as I said. So last couple of questions. Deb asked, do I have a daylight lamp when I'm working in darker evenings? Yeah, everything is daylight, otherwise you'll get like a yellow cast on it. I've got to have lights and windows shut all the time, and that's one thing I hate doing. If it's a nice sunny day, then I've got to shut the windows. Anyway, the blinds, the blackout blinds, because I don't want it adjusting the colours as I'm doing it, going light and dark as the sun comes out. So yeah, I've got to work like that personally anyway, all the time. But you do need, for sure, daylight bulbs, otherwise things are just not going to work right at all for you. And what you'll find is the next day you'll come in and have a look at your work, and you'll find that it looks completely different than it did in the night. Okay, so we've got another one or so questions, because I'm about to knock it all off, and I'll see you all next time then. Do you ever listen to music while you work? I can do that. I always do that when I'm doing my normal videos. I can't do that when I'm doing a live stream because it'll break copyright. But yes, I do all the time. A couple of you said you'd love to learn more about oils. So yeah, I'd definitely be going back to doing some more oils. Okay, so that's the chimp in 2 hours. Hope you've enjoyed it. It's been really fun talking to you all from across the world. I don't know how many's been watching, but this will go on YouTube as well, so you'll be able to have a look at this again if you want to do that. And thank you all. I'll give you all more notice next time. This one was just, as I said, really checking out the cameras and seeing how everything worked. So I'm glad you've enjoyed it. And thanks for dropping by, and I'll see you all again next time. And don't forget to have a look at my Patreon channel as well, www.patreon.com/wildlife art. We've got about 1,400 members enjoying all the videos on there. There's hundreds of hours worth of videos on lots and lots of different subjects. So don't forget to tell your art friends, and I'll see you all again real soon, and I'll just knock this video off. See you next time.